Hi everyone, my name's Melissa and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you haven't already guys, please subscribe to my channel. Today I'm going to have a bit of a story time with you guys, and the subject's going to be my work experience and what I do now for a living and what I love. So let's go right into it guys, let's go ahead. I'm going to start right from the beginning after I left school. So when I was around 17, obviously I dropped out of college, and if you don't already know, you've not seen my first video guys, go ahead and go and have a look at my first video and you'll see the reason why I dropped out of college. Anyway, yeah, watch it and then you'll understand a bit more about me. I went to a place called E2E after I dropped out of college, which stands for Entry to Employment, sorry. Great place in learning. I learned how to do my first ever CV, and I did a bit of beauty therapy there as well as administration there, and I made some nice friends. And I'd have to say I'm a bit of an expert doing CVs these days, and I do help people do CVs and people have got jobs out of it, so I can't be that bad. But I did learn a lot about the CVs. There were good tutors there. They were an amazing people. So yeah, I went there for a short while. It wasn't long before I got my first job. And I got my first job in a bowling alley, and I worked alongside my mother as well as my sister, and it was just a lovely atmosphere. It was a lovely place to work. Of course, I had to do an NVQ. Back then, that's what they were called, National Vocational Qualifications. I believe now they're called diplomas, but don't guarantee that because there might still be NVQs. But at the time I had to do NVQs. So I did my first NVQ, and I had to do my level 1 and level 2 NVQ while I was at the bowling alley. The police did put a certificate up to confirm that I could serve alcohol at the age of 17. So people would see that on the wall when they came in and understood why I'm serving alcohol at 17. But it's because I was under a qualification, so I could serve alcohol. But that involved like pulling pints, changing barrels, taking beer orders and deliveries, taking food orders, cooking, serving customers, setting up kids' parties. It was just a lovely place to work, and cleaning of course. And it was just nice to work alongside your mum, innit, and your sister. For my first job, the pay wasn't bad either, let me tell you. I was there from 2004 until 2006. It was a great place to work. Anyway, my assessor told me after I finished my qualification that it's time for me to move on, and there was a job position going at a hotel, pub/hotel, and local place, and a deputy manager was going, so I applied for it and went for the interview, and I passed it. I was absolutely amazed. I was so happy. So I got the deputy manager position there, and I worked there for quite a while. I took telephone calls, food orders, hotel bookings, etc, etc. My auntie then took over the kitchen side of things, which was really nice, the restaurant side. And my mum obviously was the manager. I had to employ my mum because she wanted a job, and I gave her the job as manager. I was too young to become manager, you know. I was a bit immature, but my mum had the skills, you see. So I interviewed my mum, she passed, and she was trained, and she just become manager, and she just fitted in really well. It was just a great place to work and great experience, you know. So I worked there for a while, but I was on and off at that pub. Like, I'd have a break and go do something else and come back. So between 2006 and 2009 I was at that place before. But in between 2006 and 2009 I got a care job in 2008, and I worked there. I only did 2 shifts. I'm not going to lie, I didn't like the atmosphere. Not because of the individuals. Now I know that it was because of the staff. The vibes was off, negative. It always seemed like they were hiding things, and I used to always see marks on residents, and I just didn't like the atmosphere, and I just felt uncomfortable. And to say like it was my first ever job, in care. I didn't understand it, and you know how to come around like reporting and stuff. I just didn't know, and nobody taught me anything. So I left after 2 shifts. I just didn't like it. So anyway, I moved on. Fast forward a little bit. So 2010, I decided, me and my hubby, he was my partner, now he's my hubby. 2010, we moved to Luton, near London it is, and I got my first ever support worker role who specialises in learning difficulties, and it was a great place to work. I absolutely loved it. Lovely place to work, absolutely lovely. I learnt so many skills, I learnt so much. This was my first ever job, learning, you know, working with learning difficulties, and it was just a lovely place to work. It was beautiful. So I worked there for a while, and then because that place at the time, the area we was living was not the best, and you know, we decided let's move back home. So we moved back home anyway, and I got another bar job. I became a waitress and a barmaid. Very busy, very, very busy restaurant. That was back in 2009. 2010 to 2012, sorry. I got my job. And that was a very busy pub to work in, and you'd be a restaurant in the day and not a nightclub at night. That's how it was. It was lovely, always busy. And when I say I could pour 4 pints at the same time, let me tell you now, I could pour 4 pints at the same time. That's what you get when you're drinking Red Bull all day, and when you are lack of sleep because you're working hard and you're putting in the hours. Great place to work, great boss. I used to work with my dad. He was the doorman. It was just lovely at the weekends. My dad was on the door at the weekends. And then, obviously, we used to work well as a team on daytime. So, a very busy place to work. But then when I worked there, I decided that it was time for me to move on and do a bit more support work. So I found a lovely support worker job, very local, who specialises in autism and learning difficulties. And what caught my eye was the autism, because a few of my family members are autistic, and I've always found it very fascinating, the subject autism. And I was just interested, you know, to work there. So I got my job there, and I worked there for a year. I'd say a year or so I worked there. Specialising in autism especially and learning difficulties. But unfortunately, the place went downhill. Management was just not very good, and everything was just not good at all. So I did leave, but I left. It was fine, I left. Moved on from there. And from 2013 to 2014, I got a hotel job. I was a receptionist, a waitress, a barmaid. I used to do a bit of laundry, do a bit of housekeeping. It was great. It was a great place to work. I mean, you know, sometimes you get managers what a bitch is. Well, yeah, we used to work with a bitch from hell. But at the same time, I used to get on with the staff, and I used to just get on with the job, and I just liked the job. Of course, I'm used to the bar side of things, isn't it, and the hotel side of things, so why wouldn't I love it? I just didn't care what the management were like. So I carried on there for a little bit, for a good year, I'd say it was. Then I got another care job because I was interested again in the care, and this time I worked with elderly, and oh my goodness me, working there was absolutely amazing, so rewarding, it's unbelievable. The individuals were cared for so much. All the care assistants had time for these individuals. We worked well as a team together. The care assistants wasn't interested in gossip. They wasn't interested in bitchiness. It was just so nice to work. And everybody worked as one big family. It was just amazing. And I do miss that place. I do miss it so much, because I really loved that place. I loved working there. It's just that they were elderly, and sometimes you had to work with end of life. And when you had individuals passing away, it just upset me too much. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, you can't be clingy, you can't be attached to these residents, they're not family. I'm sorry, but when you care for these individuals every day, and you do personal care, you feed these individuals, you ensure that they're safe, and you ensure that they've been cleaned, and you ensure that they've eaten well. Basically, you're being there, you are their full-on carer, and they are dependent on you. So I'm sorry if anybody ever says that, because I don't think that anyone's got a heart if they cannot be attached to these elderly, because they're like grandma and grandfather. I'm sorry, but they are. And because they passed, I had a few that passed in my presence, I just found it very upsetting to continue in that job role. Some people are stronger than other people, and some people can do it, but unfortunately for me, I just couldn't do it. So unfortunately I did leave there, but that was one of the best jobs I've ever worked. I have to say, one of the best jobs. The building itself was run down, but the team, the staff teams and the elderly, just fantastic. Anyway, I left there in 2014, and between 2014 and 2016 I got a job in another residential home, but this time it was a very small unit, and I believe there was 5 at the time there. And I applied for activity coordinator originally, but that position, it didn't go to somebody else. They said it wasn't available anymore. So anyway, I got the job as a support worker, a day support worker, because the manager said how pleased she was about my interview, and she was excited to offer me a day position as a support worker, and I was so over the moon. So I worked as a support worker for a while, and then the activity coordinator position came up, because the activity coordinator at the time, I believe she went to she went to uni, and then there was somebody else who filled in, and then they went, I think, and then the position was there for me. So I got the position, I went for my interview, and I got the job, and I was so happy, and so excited. Anyway, I loved it. I loved doing the activities with the individuals, sorting out activities and what they're interested in. I just loved it, especially the swimming side of things with these guys. I just loved it. Some of the staff were challenging more than the residents when it comes to certain activities, but it was a great place to work. I just loved it. But unfortunately, I did have to leave. Sometimes people go through a stage in their life where their mental health gets the better of them sometimes. So I had to leave. I did leave, and I had some time out of work. I think it was about a month or 2 with a doctor's note. But I did fully recover, and I decided at that time the best thing to do at that time was not to return back to that place. So I moved on from there. But they understood. These guys did understand. So in 2017, I went into domiciliary care. So I'd bike from one place to the other to go and see individuals, elderly. Luckily, the town I live in is not that big, because you was given time limits to go to each specific place. Lovely place, lovely company. And I'd go and do personal care, manual handling training. I had, make sure they're eating, make sure they're drinking enough fluids, making sure that everything is okay at their home, administering medication and all this. And I did that for a couple of months. And I do wish it was longer, but unfortunately the reason why it was a couple of months is because we left town and we moved very, very, very far away, the other end of England, right down south at the end of England, if you like. So we moved there, like good 6 hours away it is. And 2017 to 2018, got my first, well, not my first, but my first job in a while in bar, and become a bar associate and a floor associate, working in one of the busiest Wetherspoon pub chains there is in the whole of England. Yeah, and the boss used to come in there as well, you know, Tim, Mr. Tim, the actual owner of Wetherspoons, used to pop in now and then. So it always had to be pristine, and it was always busy. But I loved the job, and everybody loved me. I loved everybody, and I loved the management. I loved everybody there. We all made great friends. We were just fantastic. I made loads of friends when I was there, to be honest with you. So yeah, I worked there, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. But because the hours was not enough, and the hours would change each week, because it wasn't contracted hours, it was just now and then hours. Some weeks you'd have 10 hours, other weeks 7 hours, so the hours were not brilliant. Good, you got paid weekly, but the hours were not great. So then I applied for healthcare assistant, elderly again, but this time it was a bit of a difference. This time it was residential care, so it was more residential, and we was trained in end of life, but it was very rare, and I'd never dealt with that side, if you know what I mean. It was other staff who were more trained in it that would deal with end of life. I was still new at all of it anyway. So I worked there for a while, 2018. And I absolutely loved the staff and the residents, and the staff loved me. One of the staff said, "We're going to chain you to the door. You can't leave." Because I had to leave, unfortunately, because living away 6 hours away from family and friends was a long way away. So we had to return. So we returned back in 2018, and I had an interview back at the workplace where I worked as activity coordinator. I applied again online, but it was by mistake, because now it's a different name. It's under a different name, the company is. So I didn't know it was the same place I was applying for where I've worked before. So when the manager rang me up, he said, "I've heard all about you." And I'm like, And he offered an interview with me, and he said, "Oh, it'd be great for you to come back. It'd be absolutely amazing. A lot of things have changed." And I said, "Oh, fantastic, but I'm only working nights." And he said, yeah, that's fine. But a lot of people have told me great things about you. And I was like, "Oh, thank goodness." So anyway, I had my interview, and I got position as night support worker back in 2018. And I passed it, flying colours. I was buzzing. I loved it. And I loved it from day one. And then there was a night manager what popped up, well, night team leader what popped up. And I applied for it in an interview, and I got the position. And I was absolutely amazed. I was out of this world. I was buzzing. So I got the night team leader position, and I was just so happy. And I tell you what, I wouldn't change it for the world. I love this job I'm in. I love my team. And you know how you come home from work, and if the job's not for you, or you're not happy, you complain, and you just ain't got that up and go. Well, I'm excited to go to work, to have a chat with the staff and get to see the residents and do the start of the shift and the finish of the shift. It's just nice. It's just a really nice team I work in, and I just don't have stress. I don't talk about work when I come home, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Don't mix work with pleasure, etc., and that's what I like. I just like to come home and just switch off. It's just nice with no stress. So yeah, I'm currently there and doing that now. Along the way, I've done more qualifications. Like, I've done my diploma level 3 in health and social care. I've done my NVQ, National Vocational Qualification, level 3 in hospitality and management, customer service level 2. I've done quite a lot. Medication, first aid, we always get training on first aid. And, you know, I have done quite a lot in my time of work, but it's nice to know that while I was working, I was doing qualifications of some sort as well, because I believe that if you want to do, if you go to work and you want to progress, it's nice to do qualifications. So that's what I tried to achieve, and my last qualification was my level 3, and I'm hoping that I work up to my level 5 soon. That would be absolutely amazing. But yeah, I'm very happy in what I do now. I get on with all the staff, management, day staff, night staff. We all get along as one big team, and I wouldn't change it for the world. And I think I'm going to be here for many, many more years. Who knows where that life's going to take me, hey? Anyway, guys, I'll leave you with the last couple of minutes watching this speed drawing until we see each other again. Don't forget to subscribe, guys, and like and follow my content. That would be absolutely amazing. You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or follow me here on YouTube. That would be great. So bye for now, guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.